And look at Randy Orton slithering.
Oh, watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! KO! Here's the cover.
Hey, what's up everybody, and we're back with another video, this time featuring the Tier 10 Andre the Giant French Tier 10 Heavy Tank, which is a Tier 10 Premium. While I do not actually have the regular tech tree variant of this tank without all the space armor on it, I do have this one from the op, and had this beast of a game a couple days ago actually, so pretty relevant to the recent buffs that the entire French Heavy Tank tech tree got. This one didn't get really any armor buffs as far as I'm aware, mostly just the gun got improved, with the 130mm gun that it has getting a damage, or a penetration buff of from 250 on the standard rounds to 257 on the standard rounds now, and then the premium ammo also got buffed from 280mm of penetration to 300mm of penetration. And as you can see, the loadout that I have with 7 AP and then I think it's 21 premium AP. I don't think it's APCR. Could be wrong. I don't play this tank that much, or nor did it ever, but now I've been playing it a little bit more after the buff just to try it, see how it is. It's still a subpar Tier 10 Heavy, I would probably say, compared to like the 279E, who's going to give some help this game. Or something like, I don't know, I'm still out of the meta, the Super Conqueror, stuff like that. That's much more competitive on average, but this thing can still have better games now. As also the reload has been buffed from 18.7 seconds space to 17 seconds space, which is still slower than the newly buffed regular variant of this tank that has, I think, a 16-second reload buff on the same gun, or a 16-second base reload on the gun. But because this thing already has extra armor to begin with, including around the gun mantlet there, as you can see, that's why it has a slightly slower reload still, which kind of makes sense. If you have more armor, you can sit in front of tanks longer to reload, versus if you have less armor, you do not have that luxury. So, still kind of atrocious for a 560 alpha, I think, tank gun. If I'm wrong there, I think it is in the 500s. Could be wrong, but you know, we live and learn. So anyways, we're on Pilsen, and we're taking a pretty standard position for this map and this variant. Just hugging the buildings here. If you put a nice shot into the Jaeger's cupola, unfortunately our QL in front of us learns that he probably can't side scrape a Jagdpanzer, and he probably won't make that mistake again. As he probably just gets overmatched there and set on fire and dies. But we are now going to use his wreck to great advantage and make sure his death isn't in vain, because now we can hide our lower plate and put ourselves in a very strong position here in the Andre. So with no RD in play and this Jaeger basically being a one-shot, as we unfortunately missed the cupola there, and we fired most of our standard rounds to start the game off with, had no issues pending the Jaeger or the 279E that gave us side on. We bounced the Jaeger and he pulls back, so we dump one into the IS-7 here of our APCR. It is APCR, there we go. And now we are just in a perfect position for this tank, I think, which is just brawling up close, face to face against other heavies. We don't have to worry so much about the DPM in a situation like this, especially when you can rely on the armor this well. As the Jaeger tries to poke back out, but we're able to bounce the shot. I don't know if we bounced the shot or the corpse of the QL bounced the shot. Either way, he's dead and we're not missing 1,000 hit points, so that's a win-win in my book. And now that the big gun is out of play, they only have one more high penetration TD that we really have to worry about frontally, panning us. So we're in a good position as the scout tank makes a run for it. Unfortunately for him, we're able to lead the shot and dump one into the RU, leaving him on about 800 hit points. So far, this has been a good result for us. We've blocked about 3,400. We've done about 3,200, give or take. And we have a lot more tanks to deal with here. We dump one into the 60 TP because you get bigger gun, bigger alpha. Personally, more of a threat in the situation where it's just a pure brawl. We dumping shot for shot. We're able to make him eat our tracks. Then we dump one into the RU because he's letting us, and yeah, you're gonna give me the shot. I will take it, and I don't have to worry about choosing the targets so much here because I'm kind of controlling the engagement, and they're not. And I have plenty of support behind me, so I'm fine with just dumping it into the light tank, who's probably never gonna pen me. To be fair, frontally, he's more just a nuisance at this point with that little 90mm gun frontally, and you can see we're doing a good job angling the armor because they're literally using HE now. So when you start shooting HE at somebody, or somebody starts shooting HE at you in a heavy tank, probably usually doing a pretty good job being frustrating to pen. So yeah, it's going to be a very just brawl-oriented game. This is ideal scenario for this tank. 30B almost gives us a shot there, and we don't want to overextend here because we know there's a fair amount of tanks on that ridgeline, as you can see, including a couple mediums and probably the 2685 since he has not been spotted yet. And we just don't want to overextend. There's no point to. We're just controlling this little corner right here and see if we can dump one as 60B dumps another HE shell. We should be able to kill this guy. Unfortunately, we fluffed that shot and probably make one of our only real mistakes of this game. Probably should have killed that guy there. Definitely should have killed that guy there. Just take our time and aim. Now we look for the 30B shot. Pushes up. We are able to get that off. And now we're already up to 6,100 damage at this point. Now we are losing this game by 2 tanks. 1 tank now. But in my mind, we're really winning here because we're kind of cornering them onto the hills up there and taking control of most of the map as we dump one into the 277. So overall, losing by scores, but kind of winning the map, even though the high ground is technically better. In this case, is we take a big shot, and that's kind of what we had to look out for there. And I learned it the hard way. I was already thinking 2685 was up there, but now we know for sure he's up there. And I'm not going to push that corner anymore because I don't want to lose another 850 health or more to him and make me an easy one-shot for anybody remaining. I'm fine still being on 1,000 hit points because it means I can eat 2 shots from most of the other tanks, sometimes even 3 before dying. So still in a good scenario HP-wise, but we just don't want to push that corner on the 2685 anymore. We burnt out our welcome after 6,600 damage and 6,100 blocked and 1,100 assist. So I think it's a pretty good use of one position. So we're going to move on from there and move into the middle here and try to support this 2790 who's been doing work on his own right, pushing up the corridor right here and taking out several tanks on engaging him from this flank. Now our T100, or another T100, has found our Vanguard, takes him out. Well, 2685 takes him out. Amazingly, so while the T100 is going to go right across, dump one into him, able to do about 560 damage to that guy, and he should get taken out relatively quickly. 262A is a one-shot, but he pulls back just in time before we're able to pull the trigger on that guy. And now, again, just slowly advancing. I'm not trying to do anything drastic here. We don't want to because it's still a close game, and we had a very, very good result, and we can have an even better result if we just keep calm, don't get too ahead of ourselves, and just play it smart, realizing where all the tanks are at. With only 5 tanks on their team left at this point, we know where all 4 of them are on the map. Well, 3 of them are on the map, and now I have a rough idea where the 2685 is. It's going to be right on this corner in the hill. Sure enough, there he is. Luckily for me, he bounces. I'm okay with doing that there because of the angle of my armor. Even though he's firing, I believe, heat rounds there, I'm okay as we miss a shot on his cupola. That's not surprising, it missed. But I'm okay doing that because of the angle of the armor in that scenario. And it shouldn't give him time to anticipate me pulling out in that exact position or aim for weak spots. So now, do I want to do it again while I'm spotted? No. I don't trust the armor that much to bounce heat rounds from a 2685. Especially when he knows I'm coming out of that corner. So, not going to do that, at least now. As we do take a shot from the T100, but he bounces. He's more of just a nuisance. As we see, 279 is getting rushed by the 30B. We dump one into him, and now hopefully 279 should be able to finish him off, and he does. So now all we have is the T100, who's on life support and who is not a real threat to us in this kind of scenario. If we were on like Proc or something, I'd 100% big threat. But we're not. We're on Pilsen, a map that is definitely more suited for our tank. So he's obviously spotting me here. Just trying to narrow it down to where he's actually spotting me from. Probably was that bush, but I think he's pulled off now since we're not getting lit. And now that we've been not poking this corner for a while, I'm going to take my chance and see what the 265 is doing. And sure enough, he's looking at the 279E, and we catch him napping and dump one into him. So it's just a bit of predicting where your enemy's going to be looking at, and then thankfully I was right, and he is looking at the 279E that was trying to poke the other corner. So now we're able to just hold this corner pretty well. Words are hard. And now we're finally going to push the tempo, finally this game, instead of being very cautious. Unfortunately, Andre's not that fast, and spoiler, we're not going to get any more damage this game because the 2685 is going to run off to the left and die to the Centurion. But it's okay, as we wrap this game up with 9,000 damage, 7,500 blocked, and 1,100 assisted. Does this tank automatically become the best tier 10 heavy now because of this game? No, not at all. This is just right circumstances, right map, no arty, and the right enemy team to where they're not full of tank destroyers and E4s and stuff that has butchered this thing. As you see, wrap up the game with that score, and also a good score from the 279E. Just shy of the 10K mark. I guess you could say 10K combined. But in my mind, if I'm going for the 10K mark, I want 10K raw damage. Would have been hilarious to do it in the Andre. But it's okay. Still a beast of a game, and very happy with the result. So, better tank, still not the best, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See you.